everybody. Milwaukee's Best NBA Podcast is live. Coming at you from a Wednesday night this time instead of Tuesday. Aaron Freese, and to my left, as always, is Tyler Tea Time English. What's going on, Tea Time?
What's going on, everybody?
Oh, man. I think I've come a little better prepared this week. And instead of kind of just running around without our chicken, or like a chicken with our heads cut off like we did last week, it's going to be a little more structured. I mean, not more structured, but we got something really interesting to talk about that I feel like we could go on off on a real tangent about. First off, we're going to cover, we're going to look at the Northwest Division, who has all 5 teams over 500. All 5 teams who could make the playoffs, which I don't know if that's ever been done before. All 5 teams in a division, and since they've had 30 teams, I'm Jazz. But I know Portland, Minnesota, OKC, and Denver were in for me, and Utah's not in right now yet. But they're still in the race. And another thing we could look at tonight is some interesting playoff matchups. There's the weird thing about the Western Conference right now is that absolutely nothing is set in stone, and with what's happened in the last week, I think we're going to see those seeds move around quite a bit. Portland's been absolutely on fire, winning 9 of their last 10. Excuse me. One thing we didn't mention last week that we should have talked about was the Jimmy Butler injury.
Yeah, and that's pretty big for the T-Wolves.
Yeah, they haven't been playing well since he went down. Because that's their best defender, or one of their best defenders. He's their best perimeter defender. He's their best scorer. So I think we expect Minnesota to fall off, but we'll talk about whether or not we think they could miss the playoffs altogether. We also big Bucks game tonight versus the Houston Rockets, best record in the NBA, best team in the NBA right now as it stands.
Huge Bucks game tonight. They need both teams need this win, really. Houston to keep the confidence going, and Bucks to get back on the ball here.
I don't think Houston's having any issue with confidence right now. I think winning 16 games in a row means you're confident you can beat anyone, and they have beaten everyone. They've only lost one game when CP3 and James Harden are on the court. Do you want to play a little over under right now? What do you think, or do you want to? Give me your prediction for tonight's game. I want the final score.
Ew.
Or who you got, first of all?
I don't know. I didn't really think about that one. I mean, the only benefit the Bucks have right now is being at home. And, I mean, the Rockets are just so hot. And with the Bucks, I think the Bucks' worst flaw, and it's kind of hard to see, there's a lot of flaws right now, but the Bucks' worst flaw is perimeter defense. And Houston, if they hit 1 or 2 in a row, that's pretty much it. The ball's gonna be rolling the whole quarter. So, that's still a tough call, but I'd say 10-point margin, 108-98.
Really? You think the Bucks will hold them to 108?
I think so. I mean, their defense isn't completely garbage, and Houston does score a lot of points, but at the same time, I don't think they'll be able to score that much on the road. And the Bucks are streak stoppers, so they still have a good chance, and it depends on what kind of Giannis shows up tonight. And yeah, I mean, they got a shot for sure. Don't count the Bucks out, but this is a tough one here, especially after the way after the games that they've been playing the last more than that, probably the last 10 games. It's been pretty shaky. So
Yeah, the poll I put out on Facebook, by the way, which has 5 votes now. I mean, I act like that's a lot, but jeez, you guys are killing me right now. Are you kidding me? You think 4 out of the 5 of you think that the Bucks got this one tonight? You guys are insane. They do not have this one tonight. This is I agree with you with the 98 points for the Bucks tonight. I'm going to say 123 for the Rockets. Here's the thing: the Bucks will try to contain Harden on the perimeter, but they still got to worry about. They don't have anyone who can guard Capella down low.
Well, it's not even just Harden either. You know?
No, yeah, that's why I'm saying
the entire team can shoot.
You can contain Harden. You can contain Ariza, or they have Ariza. They have Eric Gordon. All those guys are just lethal from 3-point range. I don't think that's too much to worry about. And if you do, because the Bucks have shown they can play a good perimeter defense, but I don't think they can cover the 3 and then take care of Capella down low too. And they also have they still have Nene, right?
Yeah, they got Nene.
Yeah. So I just think that's too much. I think if you pick your poison, do you give up a 3 or do you give up the because I think Nene and Capella are gonna have field days against one of the worst cores of 5 in the NBA. So we can touch on kind of a rough week that has been for the Bucks later on, but right now let's jump into the Northwest Division. Even though it's pretty funny because these teams, this division makes up for half the playoff teams right now, and potentially 5 of them if Utah can figure out what they're doing. The thing that Jay Crowder's been a really good fit over there. They lost Rodney Hood, obviously, who's one of their best scorers, but I think Jay Crowder fits much better in
defense.
Yeah, he fits in better with their defensive scheme.
For sure.
And he, it's tough. I think it's tough for someone to. That's just. No, there's always that boss van that comes by from UWM. So. Anyway, so I think with I think it's tough I think what happened in Cleveland with Jay Crowder is he and LeBron pretty much play the same position, right? The small forward, power forward.
Yeah.
And I don't think.
I mean, they worked him into the rotation. He just wasn't having that good of a year, and I mean they need their shooting guards, small forwards that play on side or behind LeBron to shoot. That's just the role that it is in Cleveland in order to win the championship.
Jay Crowder's not a shooter.
Exactly. Well, I mean, he can hit it. He can make threes. I give him 30 to 35%, but
right.
It's just not going to be, that knockdown shooter that you're looking for. And Rodney Hood applies a little more offense. A lot more offense than Jay Crowder. I'll say that.
Right.
I didn't have any. I mean, the only teams that I had from that division making the playoffs was.
You still got it up.
Yeah. I saved it.
I see Memphis on that list.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought Memphis had a chance, and
they
obviously
did. No, you're
without
not wrong.
Mike Conley, that's pretty tough.
Memphis is tank city right now. They have lost
exactly.
They've lost 14 in a row.
That's unbelievable.
A lot of streakers in the NBA right now, man. There's a lot of people a lot of teams on really long streaks,
But I had Golden State for sure, or not Golden State. I'm sorry. I had Portland for sure. I had Portland finishing. What did I have Portland finishing? 7th, and then I had.
That's where
Minnesota finishing 6th, and then I had Oklahoma City finishing. No, I'm sorry. I had Oklahoma City finishing 4th, Minnesota 5th, and then Portland 6th. So it's kind of backwards of, how the order is right now. But all 3 of those teams are a game or two in between each other. So you never know. I still think Oklahoma City has the best chance out of that division. But at the same time, the way Damian Lillard plays, and you remember I told you that a week or two ago, the way Damian Lillard plays, man, is just unbelievable.
Yeah, especially in the second half of the season.
Exactly.
I can't believe the Blazers are the 3 seed. That's how weird the West is right now. The Spurs are they're on the wrong end of they're on the wrong end of good basketball. Like they're slide. I mean they just won, but they don't know when Kawhi's coming back. If he is, I think they said like end of March right now, but. Spurs are a 5 seed, but that's a team I see falling down. New Orleans Pelicans just came out of nowhere. I counted them out when I think like 99% of NBA fans counted out the Pelicans when DeMarcus Cousins went down with that Achilles injury. I can't believe it. I think Anthony Davis is your number 2 for MVP. Just the way he's carried that team on his shoulders along with Drew Holiday.
As of right now, yes.
But and a lot could
and that didn't come. That talks didn't come about until
after the All-Star
3 weeks
break,
ago.
Yep.
Yeah, 2-3 weeks ago. So it's that's the thing that most people forget about MVP is just who does it all season.
Right.
And who carries what team out of those players, what teams are doing the best? It has a huge advantage in Like obviously, if James Harden continues this streak of the way he's playing, he probably has it, And I think the top 3 options right now would be James Harden, Anthony Davis, and LeBron. Just by their play level for the entire year. That's the thing about the Warriors. Nobody has consistently.
Well, it's either Steph or KD, right?
Right. But out of all of those players, nobody has consistently showed that they need to carry their team, and they're the ones who need to. Nobody has showed that they're the most valuable player. When you think of the Warriors, you think of four players. When you think of Cleveland, you think of one player. When you think of New Orleans, you think of one player. When you think of the Rockets, you still, no matter what Chris Paul has come over and done, you still thinking of that main guy that's
James Harden.
Exactly. Yeah. So like. That's usually the biggest factor of MVP.
You ever like think about this though? With MVP, a lot of like voters get persuaded by that final stretch of the season.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. A lot of people lose sight of who's done it the entire season.
That's why Russell Westbrook, he had most of his triple doubles in the second.
In the second half of the season. And I was screaming LeBron all year last year, and then Russell Westbrook, he turned it on though. He turned it on, and he made his team. He pushed his team to that next level. So you got to give it to him. And nobody averages a triple double, so that obviously had a big play in it also. But
I think there had been an outrage either way. There were like all the Houston fans were outraged that Harden didn't win it last year, and if you would have given it to Harden, then all the rest of the NBA would have been up in arms because you deny a guy who's had who has had numbers that no one else has done since Oscar. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's either way you look at it, it's tough votes. So I mean, I empathize with the MVP voters, the media members in that regard. Okay, back to the Northwest though. Right now, who's your favorite? Who's your favorite to win the Northwest? The Blazers have 39-26. Minnesota are I don't want to say the sky's falling in Minnesota quite yet, but they're definitely trending in that direction. They're 38-28 with the 6th seed. Oklahoma City, who really just haven't been able to go on that huge run yet. They're stuck around that 8 above 500 mark. They're at 37-29 for the 7th seed in the West. Denver Nuggets, who I think when a lot of people, when Paul Millsap went down right away, they counted out the Nuggets. I did too. I seriously thought the Denver Nuggets were going to be a contender because Paul Millsap as that defensive piece in the middle to go along with Nikola Jokic. And Jokic has been having a phenomenal season, like we all thought he would. But when Paul Millsap went down, that was, that they lost a big defensive stalwart in the middle. Because that's why Atlanta was good for all those years, because they had Paul Millsap and Al Horford in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's kind of like not really a Twin Towers kind of thing, because they're not all that tall, but they were
dominant.
Yeah, they're dominant on both sides of the ball. So I think Nuggets could get Millsap back at the end of the year. It's just going to be weird integrating him into the offense. I also don't know why Kenneth Faried doesn't see more play. I really don't.
Yeah, I didn't figure that one out either. He's pretty much riding the bench this entire season.
I think when Millsap goes down, I mean, maybe they tried him, he didn't work, but I don't see like what you can lose if you're. I gotta think that you have a few more wins if you play him regularly. They're 35-29 for the 8th seed. Utah Jazz are still hanging around. Is Gobert playing right now?
Yeah, he's playing.
Okay, so I think with Gobert, I've kind of lost touch with what Gobert's been doing, but I've caught a couple Utah Jazz games when I can here and there, and Donovan Mitchell, the rookies, basically carrying the offensive load for that team. You have Joe Ingles. He's kind of cooled off a little bit, but from what I recall, for the last couple of weeks, he's been going off from behind the arc. With the Utah Jazz, I think they can, if they can sneak in without bumping anyone else from the division out. I mean, the Spurs and the Pelicans. So one of those two have to go. Obviously, Houston and Golden State are locked in at 1 and 2. But I think the Spurs are the most likely to fall off. No. The Pelicans would be. The Spurs have pop. Pelicans have inconsistency and injury-prone guys. So while this isn't the same Spurs team that we've seen either over the last, however long Greg Popovich has been a coach. This is like arguably the worst active roster that they've had.
If it came down to the Spurs and Pelicans, the Spurs will have that series all day.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't think Pelicans have a chance in the playoffs. I mean, as hot as Anthony Davis is, the playoffs is where game plans come into play. And their game plan, I mean, even if it's just the first 2 games to shut down Anthony Davis, even if he goes off that 3rd game, if you shut him down for the first 2 games, without, before he figures out, okay, I got to do this to score and do this to, for my team to win, you're down 2-0. So, and that's how the playoffs work. Coaching really comes into play in the playoffs. And, outsmarting the team comes into play. And that's why you can never sleep on the Spurs, because the Spurs, no matter what position they're in, they can be in the 8th seed, and they still got a chance all the way to the finish, to win. Obviously it's tough without Kawhi, but that team is just they're set up for success, and they play great team ball. 37-27 isn't even a horrible record. Our standards for records have changed over the last few years.
Our standards for the Spurs records have been 50 wins. I don't,
And they can still reach that.
They can, yes.
They can definitely still get that.
With
I think our standards, regardless for the NBA, have changed just because of what the Warriors did, a few years in a row now. And now, forever, any team under 20 wins is considered the favorite, obviously, but before it was probably any team that 30 losses in the losses. Sorry,
I was losses. Like, what? Now you mean tank?
30 losses in the NBA, 10 years ago was an amazing, like 20 between 20 and 30 losses was amazing, but now like teams are just doing the unbelievable, and it's just because of that level of play. That's why I think the NBA is getting better. It's just. The competition level is just much better now. Every team has that chance, to put up. Every team that we're used to. No, I wouldn't say that. A lot of teams have that chance to make history and set an amazing, stat line or record just because of the level of players, the amount of good players that we have in the NBA today. We have a lot of superstars.
Yeah, this is probably like one of the largest talent pools, which sucks because a lot of these teams should be a lot better than what they are right now because we had so many injuries. Like,
exactly.
Add Jimmy Butler to the list now.
And that's just something you got to take into play. That's you remember us talking about that at the beginning of the season. You can never count on every team, or everybody on that team staying healthy, and that's a part of having a great team.
Does it seem like more stars have gone down than in past years? Like usually, it's like an even ratio of stars, role players, and garbage time guys that get hurt. It's never. I feel like it's so top heavy.
I don't know. We would have to look that up. I mean, that's tough. That you have to research that. But I don't think so. I think it's about the same amount, man.
I'll research that for next week.
There you go.
Some names that come off, that are on my head right now are DeMarcus Cousins, Gordon Hayward. Kyrie was actually out for a little bit.
Yeah. If you're talking season ending.
Over the course of the season, I think we just big name casualties. John Wall, Jimmy Butler now. I don't. Patrick Beverly's not a big name, but I think the Clippers would be a lot better if they had Patrick Beverly.
That's true. I give you that.
Who else? Mike Conley.
Yeah.
The Memphis Grizzlies are in tank mode. I want to kind of talk a little bit about the tanking thing, especially because now Adam Silver has approached one of the teams about tanking.
Right.
We'll let you know who that was later on. But
I think we can assume who it was. So the only team that came out and said we're tanking this season.
It wasn't the Mavericks.
It wasn't the Mavericks.
No. Nope. It's someone very close to us. Anyway, So I think we should talk about all the there a third of the league is you could consider tanking right now, who are below the like the 25 win mark. I believe there are 10 teams right now. That's incredible, man. 10 teams under the 25 win mark at this point of the season.
Yeah, that is incredible.
Not many teams in the middle. There's a lot of teams, on the upper side, and then there's a big drop off. There's like 4 teams, in that like 4 or 5 teams in that 25 to 30 win range, and then the bottom just falls out, and you go straight. 10 teams are sitting there with less than 25 wins. I'm not sure how many times I've seen that.
Probably never.
This is the tanking era, and all those wins are going into 2 teams, Golden State and Houston, who have between them 27 losses, which is incredible. Okay, so who did you say was your favorite to win the
Thunder?
Thunder
all day.
Okay.
There's no way don't get me wrong, Minnesota and the Blazers are definitely going to put up a fight. The Blazers they're stinky hot right now too, but that at the same time, when again that star power kicks into play, it's just, you can't really do anything about Russell Westbrook. He's going to drop a triple-double every game in the playoffs, pretty much. Coming. And then you got Carmelo, and Carmelo hasn't seen a playoff game in I don't know how long. He's ready to fire it up, and Paul George is ready to turn it on too, man. Like, when's the last time he's been in a good position to actually win, and that was against LeBron back when LeBron was with Miami, probably the second year he was over there.
Speaking of Thunder, how about Paul George for Defensive Player of the Year? Yay or nay? I think before Roberson went down, he was the number one because when he went down, the Thunder haven't looked the same.
Who would I say is Defensive Player of the Year?
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's that
it's not a runaway this year. It's usually one of the big men that has 20 that gets 20 blocks a week, right. DeAndre Jordan or Dwight or somebody, but it's not really anybody extremely dominant. It's going to be, I guarantee you, somebody off the Warriors it's going to be a Kevin Durant or a Draymond, or
right.
it's
Draymond's
going to be one of those guys.
Draymond's definitely been in this discussion. What about Giannis?
Giannis is up there too, man. Every time I look at my fantasy stats, he's got like 5 blocks for him. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely in the discussion, but I don't think he would. Like I said, I think it's going to be somebody.
Al Horford? Al Horford's a great.
No.
Al Horford's a great defender, man.
Yeah, he is, but he's not somebody that you'll fear, like, oh, I'm not going to drive in on Al Horford.
Serge Ibaka's always a
he's not
anymore.
Year.
Not
this year.
Not since he joined the Raptors.
Whiteside. I'll give you Whiteside. He's in the
sure.
conversation.
Now, are we looking at stocks or steals plus blocks? Or
steals plus blocks. That's what I'm looking at. That and just whoever has the most impact. Whoever's like, like I said, you remember when anytime Ben Wallace was in the center, nobody was going in there. Everybody's shooting threes the entire game because he has that effect. And that's a part of it. And he still got blocks. It's crazy.
Yep. Okay, my pick for man. Now that you say the Thunder, I was gonna say Trailblazers just because that's where they are right now, but. Something tells me that Russ is going to go beast mode over these last 4 or 5 weeks of the season here. They 17 more games to go, man. 17.
Yeah,
it's 18. It's about 17 to 20 for most.
I'm excited for playoff time, man. That's the time of the year that I've been talking about since day one. I care about the regular season, but I don't. I love watching the games. I love seeing who's going to be ready for it. But at the same time, I know when certain players or certain teams get in certain positions, we know who's going to outshow. We know who's going to stand out. Unless we clearly see a team that's starting to slip. Like Timberwolves. Like at the beginning of the season, we would say, "Oh, those guys were competitors." But at the same time, like you look at them right now, you're just like, ooh, I don't know. Right. Who would they have to? They would have to play the Blazers, I'm assuming.
Timberwolves and Blazers dude, that would be one hell of a series.
It would, but I think Damian Lillard would take over that definitely. Series, and that would just be it. Again, it would come down to star power.
I think the Blazers are due for kind of a deeper playoff run than I think they have a potential to do it. I'm not just saying that because they're the 3 seed right now. I think I'm saying that because they actually have a kind of a little core built now. They're young guys like Ed Davis and Harkless is out right now, but
right.
Collins has been going off. Aminu is pretty solid. What is his name? It's not Davis. It's another young guy. Help me out here. Blanking. We're going to have to look this up real quick.
What, big man or?
No. He's like a small forward, a real young guy. He's kind of underperformed. He had a very high. I'm not thinking of Evan Turner, am I?
Yeah, Evan Turner's over there.
Yeah, okay. I think that's who I'm thinking of.
McCollum and Lillard, Evan Turner.
You have your standard McCollum. Nurkic is
nice.
He's an incredible big man. They got a nice piece. We'll see if they're able to keep him because I know he's looking for a max deal. But yeah, Trailblazers I think are in the best position. Them and the Thunder. The Thunder right now they get Houston, and I don't think they have. No, they get the Warriors. Okay, which I think they're 2-1 against the Warriors this year.
Right.
So I think that'd be a damn good series too.
Hell yeah.
Because Steph Curry cannot guard Russell Westbrook whatsoever. He's way too tall. That's just a matchup nightmare for Steph defensively. So Steph's just basically got to weasel around screens on offense and try to, he'll get his open shots, but he's not going to be able to drive the ball through the paint against Russell Westbrook. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're going to be because Curry is actually he is maybe not underrated, but he's a very good. A lot of people forget he's a very good penetrator. He can get through the paint and score. He's very true. He's a very fast player. So but not against Russ. That's not happening. In terms of like who out of the four that are actually, if the season ended today, that would be in the playoffs, I want to say I think the obvious pick is the Nuggets, but I want to pick Timberwolves because they're a completely different team without Jimmy Butler. He's like their on the court coach, their kind of motivator. You know, earlier in the season, the big storyline of the Timberwolves were how much Butler and Towns would get into it. Butler would be kind of scolding Towns for lack of defense. Not this late in the show. You're kidding me, man. I'm gonna keep talking though. Oh man, that sucks. 2 weeks in a row. Can you hear me though? That's the thing. Just check if we're. Apologize everyone. We're just gonna do a little kind of sound check thing. See if we're still up here.
Yeah, we're good.
Still up?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. I don't know. My computer's just being a moron then. All right. Back to what I was talking about here. With the Timberwolves and Jimmy Butler being their on-court enforcer, I think when you lose him, I think it's going to be tough to keep those young guys disciplined. Because Andrew Wiggins is, he's still a very young player despite he's in his fourth year, but he's still a very young player. Karl Anthony Towns is in his third year. He's still a very young player. Tibbs can only do so much when he's,
I think they'll still make a push. They'll still make a push in the playoffs.
I think they'll still make the playoffs, but I think they're the most likely. If someone doesn't, I'm picking them because Millsap comes back for the Nuggets and the Thunder Trailblazers. There's no way they're dropping out.
Honestly, I don't think the Nuggets are going to stay in the playoffs. I think they'll be the first team out.
Who's going to replace them?
Well, I mean, the Jazz could catch them, or
the Jazz,
the Clippers. But
I don't like the Clippers either, man.
I think so. I mean, I don't see the Nuggets staying secure in a playoff spot. They're just not that. There's nobody on that team, like I said, that you can look at other than what's his name, Jokic. Jokic, but I don't think there's anybody on that team, and you still can't really rely on him. Here's the ball, 10 seconds left. Let's make a big play so we can get to the playoffs. I don't.
Guy's got a jump shot.
Well, yeah, but he's not a clutch player. Is what I'm saying. There's nobody on that team that has that clutch factor or that takeover yet, and. It shows in certain games. They don't finish as well. They don't finish as well as other teams. I'll say. I'm not gonna say they're completely out of it, but I don't think in my mind I don't see them being a playoff team this year. Not this year. They're making good moves. I think their stride is a little too early. Next year they might maybe sneak up to the 7th, 6th seed.
Nuggets are definitely on the rise.
They're on a rise.
They're a hot young
you got to
team.
remember they're in a tough conference, man, and that plays such a big role.
I think we're gonna see some turnover though from the bad, the flip. We're gonna start to see a flip. The Warriors and the Rockets are still gonna be there because they have the money to, or they have. The names.
I don't think you would see a complete flip.
Not a complete flip.
Where would you see the Nuggets in 2 to 3 years in the seeding? I don't see them making it past 5th. I'll give them 5th maybe, but I honestly don't see them going past 6th or 7th.
The Clippers I think are on the downswing. The Lakers are up.
But the Clippers aren't though because they freed up so much money, and you gotta keep that in mind.
Agree with that.
And they have a solid core right now.
I think they're everything's gonna rotate.
Look at how many teams have great start. I mean, good potential.
The Mavericks are going up.
The Clippers, the Lakers still have great potential.
Yeah, Lakers are
maybe
going
not
up.
for this season, but for next season.
That's what I'm saying. These teams that are tanking.
The Mavericks are going to get a good draft pick, so they'll probably be back in it. Dirk's going to come back.
The Grizzlies are still going to be down next year because they were supposed to be a contender. This year.
Not even.
They're announcing the tank.
They might not even keep Marc Gasol. So I don't see them being, scary in a few years.
I think
the Suns. You can give a push for Suns. I don't like them. I don't like the way
they've
they
been
play
bad
ball.
for so long. Like, what makes you think they're? I mean,
they got so much young talent over here. It's crazy. It's pretty scary, especially with Devin Booker. Devin Booker. Oh, you didn't even mention that. He's only the third player to score 4,000 in what? How many seasons has he been there? And that only other two people to do it was Kevin Durant and LeBron James, and he's shooting over 50%.
Book it.
I mean, over 40.
It's
45. Oh no! I'm sorry. I think for his career, he's shooting over 50%.
From 3 or
no, from everywhere. Okay. I'm pretty sure he's over 50% for. I think he's been in the league for 3 or 3 years now.
Let's pull up Basketball Reference here and just find out for sure.
Career.
I just went down.
Oh yeah.
Field goal percentage 42%.
42. I'm sorry. Yeah, there you go. But that's amazing. You know, for somebody who's only been in the NBA for 3 years.
Totals, 4,000 points.
That's nuts. Yeah. That's crazy. But and I mean, look, even this. I mean, 3-point percentage is kind of low, but 38% ain't bad.
Yeah, he's a young guy. I mean, I've seen him hit some absolutely cold-blooded shots. So the shots there.
Exactly.
He's gonna keep getting better, but it's not Curry level. But yeah,
Curry wasn't Curry level when he first got into the NBA.
Correct. Yeah.
So
But I think
it just depends on how hard he works, and we'll see where he's at in a couple years. I've never been a huge fan of Devin Booker, but he's amazing. I'll give him that. Let's not forget about the 70-point game he put up, 60 points, 70.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
So Curry actually, his first year in the league, he was already shooting almost 44%. And he's been right, except for the last 2 seasons. But
I mean, the 40% 3-point shooting is amazing.
Curry's been doing it since he got in the league.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's true.
But I think Devin Booker has the potential to get up to around 40 per.
I'll say the Curry I'm thinking of coming across half court shooting it. He wasn't doing that in the first couple years. He was spotting up. He was a spot up shooter. Him and Monte Ellis was playing great together, but he wasn't just crossing half court, and you didn't have to guard Corey the entire floor. I'll give you that. Like I said, once he got to the 3-point line, that's a different story.
Right. Yeah, he developed the things he developed in his game were ball handling, his court vision, his passing, other things, his ability to drive the ball, worked on his speed, his quickness, agility, all those kind of things is why Curry is so great. Anyway, I think we're to the point in the show now. We can kind of change gears a little bit. I want to talk about the tanking. And the team that we said we mentioned before that Adam Silver came out and threatened to fine was the Chicago Bulls. Resting players like Justin Holiday, who was the other one, Robin Lopez. That's actually really funny.
That's pretty unfair of them to point out, a couple players, especially a player like Robin Lopez.
Point out
I mean, I can see if they sat down Portis or what's his name, the new kid over there. God, what's his name?
I know who you're talking about.
Pretty much their only hope right now.
I know who you're talking about because he's been burning the Bucks since he came over to the Bulls.
But yeah, I don't see that being fair. That they're sitting scrubs, guys who's not even really doing anything this season.
But who are still their best players.
That's what I'm saying. They're not though. Robin Lopez. I don't know. When was the last time Robin Lopez been efficient, or effective? What was Robin Lopez's last team?
New York Knicks.
Yeah. What did they do? What was the team before that?
I don't think he was in the league before that. Didn't they play on the same?
He's been on a couple different
Chris
teams.
Dunn, that's who it is. Is that who you're thinking of?
No, Markkanen.
Oh, Markkanen, yeah.
He's their best player. If I had to pick a player off of that team to start a franchise, it'd be Markkanen. Or like I said, Bobby Portis.
I picked Chris Dunn, too. I like Kristaps.
That's the thing, though. You know, like they're talking about guys that not even who they say Drew Holiday.
Or Justin Holiday.
Justin Holiday, yeah. Like what? Come on. Yeah. Who cares if he sits down? He's not doing anything.
I think that's kind of stupid. It's like the NBA imposing its will on.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like I said, I can see if they said the Mavericks, like we can see they're just, you know, like they're doing their thing.
Well, they did punish the Mavericks already with the $600,000 fine.
Oh, sure.
You hear all that new stuff that's coming out about Mark Cuban?
No, that has to be a fully developed stories. I don't want to go into accusations.
Yeah, nonetheless there have been accusations against him, and as expected,
yeah, we'll see how that plays out. That's gonna be crazy.
You know,
that'd be a long over the summer thing.
Yep. We could turn that into a summer the summer episode. I think it'll blow up once the season.
Yeah, over. Once the season ends and they're able to actually look into it, we'll see what happens. It might turn out to be a crazy, crazy story.
The Mark Cuban scandal coming to you over Facebook in July. Okay, so let's look at all these tanking teams. I don't think the Lakers are tanking anymore. I think it's safe to say.
I don't think they were tanking to begin with, you know, but they don't need any more draft picks right now. They're just practicing right now. This is their team. This is them getting their young guys' confidence up and to say, hey, you can still compete. And next year we're going to add somebody to the team and we're going to get a big name over here and we'll be fine. I think they will.
I think the Grizzlies need to be the ones who need to be scolded, losing 14 in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
And coming up with all these injuries for Tyreek Evans.
It's not really. That's not even in their control. I don't think they could win a game if they wanted to. They just that team's just not good. I mean, that's just what it is. And then you take away their main guy. Well, they're averaging 98 points a game. That's the lowest in the NBA.
Well, Dallas and Atlanta both found ways to beat the Pacers, and Atlanta and Brooklyn have Brooklyn's.
But look at what they're averaging for the season.
The Magic have beaten the Cavs twice.
They're averaging 103 and 105 points a game. Memphis can't even score. Yeah. Their main guys are gone.
Well, yeah, their defense is their big thing, and they're still only allowing one
right, exactly, and that's great defense for today's NBA. So, 103 points a game. That's probably one of the lowest in the league, actually.
I mean, Boston holds it right now.
Right, I'm saying one of the lowest is probably.
No, never mind, San Antonio.
Yeah, they're the lowest for expected.
Sure. Then I think Utah's third. Anyway,
you didn't even talk about. Oh no, the Pelicans.
Oh, yeah,
9-game winning streak.
Yeah, we hit the Pelicans. When I made the whole streakers comment, the Warriors have won 6, Rockets 16. We're gonna hit it again. Blazers 8. Sorry. Pelicans 9. And then we got 14 straight losses for the.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Grizzlies. That's terrible. Raptors are on a 5-game winning streak. Pacers have put 3 together against 3 pretty good teams. Knicks have lost 5. Charlotte's lost 4. I also wanted to make a note tonight, just the parallelism. I don't even know if that's a freaking word, but that I've been noticing between the East and the West. It seems right now that there are about 10 teams in each conference that could actually hope to make the playoffs. I think the East, it's a little more set in stone right now because from 8 to 9, the Heat to the Pistons, there's 4.5 games
That's
already.
That's a big gap.
So
the last
Pistons are not out.
No, not at all.
But there's only a half a game that separates 8 and 9 in the West.
Right.
But again, 10 teams before you see from the Hornets drop off. There's 4 games between them and the Knicks. So the Knicks I think the Knicks are tanking now that Porzingis is down. And then you have 5 teams from each conference. Those teams, actually no, it's because the Lakers are still kind of in it. But so you have 9 teams that are tanking. I guess I was including the Lakers unknowingly. The Lakers are have 28 wins. But like I was saying before, like there's only one team in the West that's between 25 and 30 wins. You know what I mean? There's no one in the middle of the middle bad. There are only two teams in the East that are. So there are three teams in the entire NBA that are between 25 and 30 wins. And I think that number should be more like 5 or 6. So, and you also, the similarities between the two conferences, you have two obvious front runners in each conference, which you have that are, in terms of wins. I mean, we all consider the Cavaliers to be a front runner, but they're just, their record isn't reflecting that. You have two teams that are at least 7 games above the next best in the conference. Houston and Golden State, Boston and Toronto. And then so I mean, those are just, we're seeing a lot of like parallel structure in terms of records in between the two conferences, which I think is pretty cool. I wish it was a little more exciting though. Usually we see, those at this point of the season, those teams that are at 25 to 30 wins, usually, in the NBA, you get a team that's like right at the 500 mark.
Right.
Last year, the Bucks were the 6th seed, and they were 42 and 40, only 2 games above 500. So, it's kind of a weird season where there's such a big gap, and that's due to the tanking.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's just due to tanking. I don't think if you can't honestly say that any of those teams, healthy or not, not healthy or not, but any of those teams would have a shot against, any of any of those bottom teams are just you kind of knew at the beginning of the season that they weren't going to do anything special.
Well, yeah, because their GM they stripped the roster of all the talent they could for draft picks. And so, yeah, there isn't.
I wouldn't go that far. I just think,
No, that's what tanking is. Like,
well, yeah, I understand. I understand what tanking is, but Dallas didn't plan on tanking in the beginning of the season. They were planning on, hey, let's make a push. We got this new point guard over here. Let's go. Memphis Grizzlies, same thing. They were planning on making a push. It just the talent level that's at the top of these conferences are just too much for those teams.
So you're saying, I get what you're saying. So you're saying that because it's so top heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, why?
Houston only has 13 losses. Golden State only has 14 losses. When have you ever seen that in the same conference? If both of those teams have 50 wins, then the rest of the conference isn't even going to be close. It's tough. But it's going to make for a good finish here in the rest of this season.
It's going to be exciting. I think the West, seriously, every night there's like a playoff-esque matchup in the West.
Exactly.
Because you have so many teams, and they're so evenly matched, too. Man, I still don't like the Timberwolves' chances. I think they're going to be kind of tumbling into the playoffs if they make it, because Butler's out, and they said indefinitely now, right? So originally it was 4 to 6 weeks. It's been updated to indefinitely, which is never a good sign. But even if it's 4 to 6 weeks from when he gets injured, so he got injured about a week ago, right, against the Bulls.
Right.
So 3 weeks, that puts you at the end of March, and by then you probably have only about 4 to 5 games left. So I don't think he'd have a problem integrating himself back into the rotation, but I think I don't think 5 games is enough to get him back to where he was before the injury. So I don't know, man. We still have a little time. There's about 5-6 minutes left here. We're gonna review the awful week that was for the Bucks. 2 wins since the All-Star break, Tyler. 2 wins. 3 wins? 2 wins. I don't know. Which is it? I don't. It hasn't
either
been.
Way it's terrible.
It hasn't been many. And the 2 wins were against pretty great teams. Honestly, the Sixers are right in the mix.
It's not like Toronto. They're just they're at one point in a game of each of those games they're almost completely getting blown out. and then they always figure out a way to get back into it. But they've got to stop that. They got to find a way to stop that.
They don't show up for games. So they don't show up for the first quarter of each half. So they play wonderful, second and fourth quarters. But you can't do that. You can't win and only play 2 quarters.
Well, yeah, and especially when you're playing against a top tier team. That's just what it is. You can get away with that against the 76ers or somebody that doesn't have that full experience. But if you give up 20-point lead to a Golden State or a Rockets or a Cavaliers or even Spurs, they're not gonna let you come back. Like, they're just gonna keep killing you the entire game. And that's at this point in the season, that's what we're looking for the Bucks, is them to play a complete game, because it's playoff time. This is a part of the playoffs.
They were playing complete games earlier this season.
Yeah, when Jason Kidd was a coach.
No.
Yeah, all right.
They've played complete games.
I just want all the fans out there to know that for everybody to be on Jason Kidd's tail about
Jason Kidd
about the team and about what their record was is just completely idiotic. You know what I'm saying? Now we just now it's not the coach's fault. At some point we just got to realize that most of it is up to the players. That's just what it is.
It's up to the players, but when there's an obvious rift between the players and the coach,
but people didn't know that before that day that they fired him.
We didn't know
exactly.
But
the players did, but they weren't the ones calling for him to be fired until that week.
There were other things though. You can't tell me that Jason Kidd was.
You're saying that now because of what we found out after the fact.
I was saying that before.
No, you weren't saying Jason Kidd was a poison to the locker room.
No, I wasn't saying
exactly.
That.
That wasn't even across your mind. Now you were pointing out things that was going on in the game, and I'm like, hey, you can't just blame Jason Kidd for that. You got to look at these players that's not.
Well, actually, we did hear
as well
reports
as they were.
that Jabari Parker and Brogdon were not getting along with Kidd.
Yeah, after the fact.
No, those were reports dating back to last season. Last season there were reports in that
came out
and
when
that's
he got
what
fired.
Fueled because you remember there were still there were Kidd haters last year too. I was one of them, admittedly. For about that week when they were like 22 and 30 or whatever.
Right. But that's my point though.
But
my point though. We're always quick to say fire a coach when something's not going right.
I'm not saying fire Prunty.
I know you're not saying that now, but we don't have any options right now. We're not going to fire Prunty at the end of the season. But the only thing my point was, and I made a post about. The only thing my point was that you just can't throw it all on a coach. That's completely beside the point. There's so many other problems, and I said that as soon as Kidd got fired. I said, okay, we'll see. Eventually, the streak is going to end, and we're going to see what the real faults of the team are, and now it's showing. It's completely showing.
It's showing, but isn't it the coach's job
to try to get it under control? Yes, but
and he couldn't do that.
Yes, and Prunty can't do it either.
Well, no, but he's an assistant. That wasn't.
Oh, okay, but he's a head coach right now.
That wasn't his title.
He's a head coach right now.
He's been thrown into an
exactly, and why did now listen to my point. That's why you don't do that. That's why you don't throw an assistant coach into a head coach position in the middle of the season.
And I think we can.
And that's why I said you wait to fire Jason Kidd at the end of the season after you figure out, hey, this team isn't this combination of players isn't working.
But you remember, I was in agreement. I was in agreement with you at the time.
You're right. You were in agreement.
I was saying, this is kind of a dumb.
Yeah, time. You don't do that in the middle of the season. That's my whole point. And there's no reason for Jason Kidd to be fired in the middle of the season when we're over 500 and we're making good strides. The players just so happen to get hot. Chris Middleton turned it on to a new level after that Jason Kidd firing, and that helped us out. We made trades, we made good moves, and that's what got us that run and momentum. But now now that momentum's done, as it clearly is, what now? Now we're back to the basics, and now we got to figure out what's really wrong with the team. And it's like I said, it's just so many things wrong.
That's why you have the same old Bucks crowd is coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
They are. I mean, they're the same old Bucks. Like they not finishing games, not showing up every game. Because you bring up a good point. Middleton and Bledsoe, and Bledsoe hasn't been he still does Bledsoe things where turnovers and just passing up open players for their opportunities, but he's Bledsoe and Middleton had kind of their come to Jesus moments where they played insane for those first 12 games or whatever when they went like 9-3 after Kidd was fired because they're probably like, oh my God, just a weight has been lifted and we have this easy schedule. Let's just rag on these bottom quality teams, and then the three teams that actually were competent, the Heat twice and Denver Nuggets, well, they didn't show up for them. They got beat. So I think there was a red flag there when they lost to the Nuggets and they lost to the Heat twice because the Bucks with their talent level should be able to beat a Miami Heat team in 7 games. That's like a requirement because you have the second best player in the Eastern Conference and maybe third best if you want to. I don't know if you want to throw Kyrie in there, but my point is they have better talent than the Miami Heat. Maybe not a better coach because I do think Eric Spoelstra is a respectable coach, but I think just pure talent alone, you should be able to beat the Heat. So and then that's disappointing, but and that's why I'm saying now the Bucks don't have a chance against the Rockets tonight. They just simply don't. I mean, unless they decide to show up for all 4 quarters. Did that game start?
They're tied up right now. As you say, they don't have a chance. I was wondering why
you were looking. And if they decide, good for them if they finally decide to show up for a game.
Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they won tonight. The home court advantage is pretty big, but it's 11-11 right now in the first quarter.
It wouldn't
about 6 minutes left.
Yeah, I'm with you there in terms of like I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, oh, this is the game they would win, against the Rockets, but
that's what the Bucks do. They turn it on against the high rated teams and then
losing to Indiana.
Yeah, exactly. That's
twice in the last week.
But Indiana is not. They're not a terrible team.
They're a good team. Yeah. But you should. You have better talent than the Indiana Pacers. You should still beat them.
It doesn't, and that's what I'm saying. It just doesn't come down to just talent. It's so many other factors.
Indiana, I think, sleeper pick for Coach of the Year. My guy at Indiana over there, man. Seriously, who does he have on that roster? And Indiana was projected to be bottom of the East.
Coach of the Year.
I think he should be considered.
I think D'Antoni's got that wrapped up. No matter what happens the rest of the season, I think D'Antoni's got that in the bag.
How can you have MVP and Coach of the Year on the same team? That's what I don't get.
Well, that's a part of it. Where you got the best coach and the best player.
Well, okay, sure, but what about the Rockets? I don't know. Neither of them got acknowledged coach or MVP last year, and they were still the same. So I don't know why.
Well, they weren't the same. They're nowhere close to the same.
They have
as
CP3
last season.
now, but. They still.
Well, I'm saying that. Even the record,
right?
shows that they're a completely different team. They're the number 1 team in the NBA now. They were probably number 3, number 4, number 5 last year in the NBA as far as power rankings. But they're number 1 right now. Clearly, they didn't go on a 16-game winning streak last year.
No, but they were still in the top 3 in the East or the West. So
yeah, but that was a completely different game plan too. This Rocket, I put a post out actually. This Rockets team is pretty scary, but
I think this is the best chance anyone has to.
And to dismantle the Warriors, but at the same time, just like I said, when it comes down to playoffs, they're in the big games. I think the Warriors still pull it off.
I agree. All right, I think it's time for us to. We just hit the 1 hour mark. Everyone, go. We're sorry for keeping you from. If anyone's listening, we're sorry for keeping you from the Rockets-Bucks game right now. Go enjoy the beating that the Bucks are surely. I'm sorry. Prove me wrong, Bucks. Just prove me wrong. Prove me that you can go out and beat this just godlike Rockets team with basically a limping superstar. Giannis's knee it's not right now. You can tell. He's had a 36-point game sprinkled in with he had 4 straight games he didn't hit 20 points. during this stretch. That's crazy. Like the worst stretch he's had this season, and you can tell the NBA leading minutes per game are getting to him. So, anyway, until next week, I'm Aaron Freese. That is Tyler Tea Time English, and Milwaukee's best NBA podcast will continue. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
Adios.